Like many others, during this Christmas season, my family and I put up a nativity scene. We do this every year. It is quite a joy placing each piece and hearing the stories that go with. At our house, we place Mary and Joseph first, and then fill in the rest of the figures around them. Of course, the baby Jesus is the last to be placed, because of course, we're always waiting on him. When I think about the way that we do this, and the reason that we gather all the other people around the family, it makes sense to share it with you on this feast of the Holy Family. God chose to send his only Son to a family, as he desired it to be, a man and a woman. This man and woman welcomed this child as a gift from God. They accepted him not knowing what the plan was for him, but faithfully accepting God's desire. Mary and Joseph provided a family for God to be an example for all humanity. You see, the family is the basic unit of society and the church. It is the family that we first learn to communicate and that we learn what is good and bad. It is the family that we learn what love is, because it is in the family that we first receive love. It is the family that we first learn to forgive and to pray. It is the family that we first learn about God, Jesus, and Our Lady. We must acknowledge that as we look around the world today, whether it is through the television, newspapers, or social media, we do not see the examples that were set by this most holy family. We see anger and violence, greed and hurt. Why is it that we just go with the flow of society and are so far from what God desires? Is it because we don't think we can be like them? In this book that we received at Christmas services, The Biggest Lie in the History of Christianity, Matthew Kelly talks about the biggest lie that is being told. He goes on to say, this lie may be the devil's greatest win in modern history. And he goes on to say that this lie is the Holocaust of Christian spirituality. The lie is that holiness is not possible. Now, I didn't just ruin the book for you. There's more there. This lie is being told in thousands of different ways every day by ourselves and by each other. But as I said, it is a lie. Let's look at the holy men and women that we place on pedestals. It is easy to think of someone in history that we would describe as holy. We have an abundant amount of saints that we could list. Or maybe our grandparents or another family member that we could describe in this way. We have to remember that it's not because of the holy lives that they lived, but the holy moments in their lives. These moments that they said yes to God. It is really easy to say to ourselves, but it's different now. The time is different. Or it's hard for me to do this. But why do we keep it out of reach for ourselves? Would you describe yourselves as holy? I want to say again today that you, all of us, are worthy of God's love and grace, and to be holy. Holiness is attainable, and it is within our reach, the reach of every one of us. Our readings today call us to a radical conversion of heart. They call us to become less self-focused and look back to the Holy Family. What are the examples that they set for us today? St. Paul tells us of the letter to the Colossians, put on God's chosen ones, holy and beloved. Put on heartfelt compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another. These virtues that St. Paul tells us of help to direct all of us on how to create those holy moments. Matthew Kelly in this book challenges us, go out and create just one holy moment, not a holy day, not a holy hour, but a holy moment. A holy moment is when you open yourself up to God. You make yourself available to Him. You set aside what it is that you feel, what you feel like doing at that moment, and you set aside your self-interest. And for one moment, you simply do what you prayerfully believe that God wants you to do in that moment. These moments are made of simple, humble acts of love and charity. A simple smile at someone to just acknowledge their existence. Holding the door for somebody because you can do that and maybe they can't. Or giving of your time to help out at home, at work, or here at church. Open yourself up to God's grace, and you will discover many opportunities for those holy moments. Let it transform your life and ripple into the lives of others. It is time to gather our families and let God's truth once again resound in our lives. Let us look at the example of the Most Holy Family and infuse it into our own families so that we may be stronger in faith and in love, in charity, in forgiveness, in patience and gentleness, humility, compassion, and holiness.